Federal officials plan to enforce changes to the food stamp program SNAP. Beginning in November, SNAP gives money to people to buy groceries. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the changes will cut federal funding for SNAP by $187 billion through 2034. Joining us now to tell us more about the upcoming changes to the food stamp program is Lawrence Wilson, reporter for the Epoch Times. Lawrence, always good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Can you talk to us about what are the immediate changes to the program we should be aware of?
Well, the most immediate thing that's going to be happening is so-called work requirements are going to be changed starting November 1st, as you mentioned. Now, this is and it adds some to existing work requirements. So people who receive SNAP benefits generally are going to be required to work or attend job training or volunteer in the community for 20 hours a week or 80 hours a month. And of course, there are some exceptions to that. But the idea is that it gets people who are able to do something productive, even if they can't afford or work a full-time job or, if they still need assistance, but at least they do something productive with their time if they're able to do it.
But will the program be more accessible or less, or rather more accessible or to more people or less after these changes?
Well, there's another change, too, that's going to involve people who have immigrated into the country and don't have a legal status. So there's going to be some changes there, too, which we can talk about later if you like. But less accessible. It's estimated that about 2.4 million fewer people will be receiving SNAP benefits by 2034, according to the Congressional Budget Office. Now, that compares with about 41 million people a month who are receiving SNAP benefits right now.
A number of groups that used to be exempt from the work requirement no longer will be. Can you break down that for us?
Yeah, there was an exemption for people who were for example, younger than age 55, so people 18 to 54, it really applied to adults, that is. Now that's been moved up to younger than age 65. So if you're 64 or younger and able-bodied, you would be expected to work if possible. People with dependent children have been exempted from this requirement as well, but they've changed the age limit for the dependent children. It used to be up to 18 years old living at home. Now it's up to or under age 13 and living at home. So if you have older teen kids, you could be expected to participate in those work requirements. Also, there were exemptions for people who are homeless, certain veterans, and people who were age 24 or younger than age 24 who had aged out of the foster care system. And those exemptions have now been taken away.
Are there any potential sticking points with these changes? Are there any critics? What are they saying?
Yeah, well, critics say that these are people who are struggling in life already, and people who are working will be able to work, or who are able to work are working. So it's kind of pouring more coals on people who already have their feet to the fire, so to speak. And in terms of changes that deal with the immigrant population, people say there's a humanitarian concern there that just not allowing benefits for people who may be indigent in the country, regardless of how they got here. That's a humanitarian concern. So there are some strong critics to these changes.
What about illegal immigrants? What are the rules around among this group of people accessing the stamps?
Yeah, the idea, according to the One Big Beautiful Bill, is that people who are not legally residing in the United States are not going to be eligible for the benefit. And there are some exceptions to that. There are people who have a legal residence, or they're a permanent legal resident, as defined by federal law, or people who entered the U.S. before June 30th, 1948. So if you've been in the country that long, and haven't left, you would be eligible regardless of your immigration status. And immigrants who were allowed into the country under a parole by federal officials. And of course, there were quite a number of people who were, quote, paroled or given an exception to come into the United States during the last several years. And immigrants who are living in the United States, but the authorities have decided not to deport. So there's some exceptions to that, but generally, people not legally residing in the United States would not be eligible.
Okay, Lawrence, just one more question. Why is the administration making these changes? What is it after, aside from the cost saving of $187 billion?
Well, that's a big part of it. And part of it, too, is the strain on the federal government versus the state governments. One thing we haven't talked about so far is another upcoming, not November 1st, but coming next year, a shift to force some more of the administrative cost for the program from the federal government to the states. So take some pressure off the federal budget. And of course, our debt is growing rapidly. Beyond that, they say it's a good thing to get people active who can be active and doing something productive with their lives. It contributes to the economy and it's better for them. That's the administration's argument. And the argument regarding the immigrant population is that the benefits of taxpayers are reserved for American citizens. So they think that's a matter of fairness to taxpayers.
Well, all right, Lawrence, good to see you. Good to talk to you today. Thank you.
My pleasure.